taking you out tonight. Don't you wanna go with me? Be the town and ride with me. Hot shot, you're so fly. Rocking up designer jeans and I swag when you talk to me. Ready or not, here I come. Never late when the night is young.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2 of In Her Purpose Show, a platform where we feature female game changers who have paved the way on succeeding their goals and continue to inspire at the same time. I am your host, Mafe Yunan Velasco, and this show is very close to my heart because I'm able to learn and grow with two amazing women who are the founders and also authors of In Her Purpose book and company. I am so honored to introduce to you all, first and foremost, Jen Redondo Marquez, who is a game changer herself, working in the tech world and serving as a mentor for Collective Hustle and FASTA, Filipino-Americans in Silicon Valley Tech. And of course, Rose Buado, mother of two, businesswoman, mentor to young women entrepreneurs, inspirational speaker, and manager of the Philharmonic. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
You believe that we are already almost done with March. But anywho, we're still celebrating Women's History Month, and we are honored to have our special guest today. And let me give you a little bit of a background of the beautiful Julia Menez. She is a travel hacking coach, speaker, and host of the Geo Breeze Travel Podcast. After traveling to more than 30 countries before the age of 30. Wow. And saving thousands of dollars each year by travel hacking. Julia distills the strategies from top travel hackers around the world in her GeoBreeze Travel Podcast and prepares personalized points and miles plans for her private coaching clients. And of course, through her podcast, Julia also features a diverse roster of guests with experiences that are traditionally underrepresented in a larger points and miles blogs and media. Her episodes often highlight travel hacking women, immigrants, or people of color. Julia is also a speaker, and she has spoken for FinCon X, a course instructor for Frequent Travel University Online, and has led workshops for thousands of attendees at events such as She Factor 2020 Summit. And an event that features speakers such as Bethany Hamilton, Caitlin Bristow, and Missy Franklin. And she has also been featured in numerous business and travel podcasts. So without further ado, let's welcome the amazing Julia Menez. I want to learn so much from you. Hello. Welcome to In Her Purpose Show.
Hi. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you on. When I discovered you, I was like, oh my goodness, I've never heard of a travel hacking coach. And I was very intrigued by that. So I'm really excited to have you on. If you could introduce yourself and tell our audience who you are, what you do, how you got to where you are today, and who is Julia?
Sure. So, hello, everybody. My name is Julia Menez. I am based out of Jersey City. So, it's about 10 o'clock tonight. I finally have Friday night plans for the first time in probably a year since we have been quarantined for so long. In the daytime, I'm actually an actuary. I do a lot of insurance math in my day job. And then outside of that, as you guys mentioned in the introduction, I am a travel hacking coach. And I host a podcast where I interview a lot of different people about their travel hacking lifestyles, because a lot of people might not be very used to hearing about traveling for free through points and miles and credit card reward systems, loyalty programs of airlines and hotels. And really, if you ever Google what is travel hacking or points and miles travel, you come across the same 12 people over and over again. And they're all white men. But really, there are a lot of people who do this who are women or who are women of color or have a lot of different ways to use points and miles that aren't normally featured when you just go to Google page one. And those are the stories that I really like to highlight in my podcast, the GeoBreeze Travel Podcast.
Awesome. How did you end up you end up getting into this? Like, how did you become
Yeah.
a travel hacking coach?
Yes. So it started with reading a whole bunch of FIRE blogs. And FIRE, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is Financial Independence, Retire Early. It is a personal finance philosophy where you save a whole bunch of money, invest it, and then you can retire early or work optionally and live off of the investment income that you have. So while reading through some different FIRE blogs, a lot of them specialize in different niches. Some talk more about investment income, some talk about taxes, and some talk about credit cards. And I'm following a few of these blogs of people who are expats who are traveling all over the world, and they claim that they're doing it for free, and they're just traveling based off of the credit card points that they're earning from their daily expenses. So my first reaction to this is the same reaction that a lot of people have, which is, this sounds like a scam because you're applying for a whole bunch of credit cards. It has the word hacking in it. You say you're traveling for free to people on the internet. It just sounds a little bit shady at first, but I kept researching. There are a lot of people who were talking about this on the internet, and I got kind of curious. So then my husband and I applied for a couple of cards, earned our sign-up bonuses, and then we were about to travel to Morocco. And 20 hours before we fly out to Morocco, our tour guide, who was handling everything except our airfare, he was handling our hotel, our excursions, our transportation, calls 20 hours before the flight and says, I have a family emergency and I have to cancel your tour package. And he was a one-man shop, so he couldn't even just transfer us to another tour guide. He just had to cancel everything. So we're about to travel. We have 20 hours before going to Morocco for the first time, and we don't have a place to stay once we get there. So we had just gotten our sign-up bonuses through the Starwood card, which has since merged with Marriott. And I called American Express and asked, okay, I have this many points. I need a place to stay. How does this work? I've never done this before. And they said, oh, well, you have this many points. You can get 4 nights for free at the Sheraton Casablanca, which is the only hotel that we have in the area. And I said, perfect, that sounds great. So then we get to this hotel, and the whole time we're just so afraid that it's not actually going to work out because we're exchanging these points. I called a guy on the phone. He says, we have a hotel reservation. But then we get there, and they say, oh, yes, thank you for being a loyalty member. We've upgraded you for free. Here's a room with free breakfast, free cocktail hour. And it's just so nice. And suddenly at that point, we were hooked with travel hacking and just had to dive deeper. So upon researching this a little bit more, what I found out was you get a lot of points if you have business credit cards and not just personal credit cards. I didn't know at the time that to qualify for a business, you can just have an Etsy store or an Amazon store or something like that. But I didn't know that. So I went ahead and opened a travel agency because I said, okay, I'm going to go all in and start a business so that I can have business credit cards. And I had a few clients with the travel agency, didn't love it as much because every time I would look up deals for people, I would just say, you know, you can just get this for free if you have certain credit cards and travel for points and miles. So then when COVID hit, it felt like a really good time to pivot because I said, oh, nobody needs travel agents now. This is a really good time to pivot the business and then focus more on centering travel hacking and a lot of different pieces of travel hacking, like featuring other people's stories that never get heard in this space. So that is a quick overview of how I got into points and miles.
And throughout your career and starting like your travel agency to being a travel hacking coach, what served as your inspiration throughout all of this?
I'm not sure it's so much of an inspiration, but just this feeling of loneliness the whole time. Because as I was researching travel hacking, points and miles, all of it for years before I got into this, there's really nobody who looks like us in this space. It's all the same people who are featured over and over again, and they never talk about the kinds of experiences that we have. And I just told myself, there have to be more people like us who are in this. I know a lot of Filipino moms or aunties or anything who are really into shopping hacks, who are really into saving money, who are really into getting the best deal possible. And points and miles seem just like an amazing extension of just what a lot of people naturally do in the Filipino community. But yet none of us were getting featured. And I thought there has to be somebody else who looks like me, who's into this hobby. And if not, maybe it's just because they've never heard of it and they would really be into this hobby. So really, it all stemmed out of this feeling of loneliness, of wanting to find a community, of just getting tired of trying to jab myself into this circle where I was the only one who looked like me. And out of that was born the podcast, where I said, okay, I'm going to find people from all different circles who travel using points and miles and interview them about how they do it.
I didn't know it was a thing, but I guess I'm one of those people, because I have a Starwood Bonvoy card. That's literally like what I used to pay for my wedding, so that I could stay at the hotel for free and then have a honeymoon for free. And everyone's always wondering, how do you stay at these amazing hotels? I'm like, because I have a credit card, and everything that I spend, and you get like a certain number of free nights every year if you have the card. So I'm like, it kind of pretty much pays for itself. I think it was like $100 or something to like get the card. And if you just continue to spend, it's kind of like, yeah, get a free vacation every year. But people get scared, right? They get scared when you think like, oh, I don't want to put all that money on the credit card, and they don't trust themselves.
So honestly, just to be transparent, I am so like cringy right now, because Jen knows how much I am so like no on credit cards.
Well, tell her what happened to you.
About which one?
Your credit card thing from college.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, you do know, because I talk about it a lot, and I don't even think about it. Okay, so I went to a university out here in California, and when you turn 18, all of the financial companies can come and tell you that you can apply for a credit card. And when I was 18, I went to college, and all of these booths were down the aisle, and all of them were like flashing like Skittles, little T-shirts, and like little toys or whatever that will just make you be like, oh, that's so cool, I want that. Yeah, you can have it. You just have to fill out this, and you'll get a credit card. Okay, what's a credit card? My parents never taught me about credit cards. Okay, maybe they did. Did they have any? I don't think they had credit cards, or they did have credit cards. They just never thought to tell me about it, or never thought to teach our kids, her kids about it. So the guys that were there, they were telling me, Rose, you can just wave this card around, and then you can buy anything you want with it, and you have like a $500 limit. I'm like, what? So I can use this, I can just swipe it, and then they'll give it to you. Like, yeah, it's like fine. It's just like using money. It's using money, but you just have to pay back later. So okay, so I got like 5 of them. I don't know. I just went down the line. I was like, okay, this is cool. I want this. I want that. I want that. Okay, so I am 18 years old. I have no idea how to even handle money. I have no idea, what I got myself into. So one day the first bill came, and it would go to your house, right? And of course, my mom was the one that got the mail. She opened it up, and she went crazy. She was like, Rose, her accent, what is this? What is this? And then I was like, oh, it's a credit card, Mom. You didn't know what a credit card is? You can swipe it, and then all of a sudden you can buy whatever you want. You just pay it later. It's just like, no, that's the reason why we don't have these, because they're going to charge extra money on it. And then, so I was like, oh, okay. And so he made me find work to pay it off at 18. I'd never worked. Oh, no, I did work, but she told me she would not pay it at all. And I thought she would. So anyways, I was just wrong. And I ended up starting my first business because of those credit cards. So now every time we talk about credit cards, I'm like, no, not happening.
I know. Yeah. We can get so much free stuff. She even said, if you're a business.
But however, I did get credit cards after, because, life happens. And then I did run a debt. That was probably more traumatizing, because I did run more than a $500 debt. I paid it off, and I have a really good credit score, and I do not ever want to get back into that again.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into kind of the myths of credit cards, like, oh, you can just pay it off later and it'll be fine. But one of like the number one rules of travel hacking is you have to set your credit cards to be paid automatically at the end of each month so that you never have a balance roll over to the next month. Because if you ever have to pay interest like you had to do, it just negates the value of the points that you get. So you have to avoid ever paying interest, just always have it be paid in full automatically at the end of each month.
So what do you say to people who are like Dave Ramsey, enthusiasts, and how Dave Ramsey says that credit cards, when you rack up points, actually us taking advantage of people who don't pay their debt? Do you ever get, that question?
Oh, I don't love Dave Ramsey because he preaches all of this. And he's also like, oh, if $600 is going to change your life, you have clearly bigger problems. I'm like, you have a $15 million house, man. Like, come on.
Yeah,
but
yes.
But people who are saying that if you get free, you get free travel, you're taking advantage of people who can't pay off their debt. Well, then I think we should teach people pay off your debt at the end of each month. Like, there's a responsible way to use credit cards to where you can build your credit very strong. My credit score is over 800. It always has been ever since I've gotten into this hobby. And if you want, we can talk about what it is that goes into a credit score. But I would not look at it like that at all. I would say that if you are using credit cards responsibly, you're actually sticking it to the credit card companies because they're banking on the fact that you don't know how these work and that you're going to have to pay interest and that you get sucked in. And they're like, look at all these benefits. You can just pay it off later. And I really want to spread more knowledge about how to use credit cards responsibly to take advantage of the programs that are available rather than living in fear of, oh, if I open a credit card, like bad things will happen. And then you never get to travel for free. Whereas if somebody is able to get this kind of knowledge and still pay it off, they have an 800 point credit score. They're getting to travel for free. There's no downside to them. It's all just about the education of how these things actually work rather than buying into the Dave Ramsey fear mongering of credit cards will ruin your life, because credit cards can actually really, really help your life in a pinch. It just involves a little bit more education that I don't think is available at all in mainstream society.
It is not at all. But I'm about it. I'm about it for sure. Aside from that, what are some of the challenges that you had embarked upon, like going into this, like besides being like the only female and one of the few people of color?
Yeah, so in a lot of my content on social media, I talk about diversity and representation and why it's very important. And a lot of people who are into this hobby or who follow me are probably just thinking, I just want the hacks. Like, I really don't care about the Asian hate crimes that are going on or like spreading awareness about any of that. Can you just tell me what are the hacks? And I can't not talk about those things. And so that's a bit of a challenge too, is it really makes the engagement and the willingness of people to follow me a little bit more of a challenge, because everybody who would be interested in the solidarity and hearing themselves represented, like Rose mentioned, we don't know about credit cards. So they'll see the credit card content and be like, this is cringy and I don't want to do this. And then people who already have just gotten all of this knowledge are like, I really just want to live in my bubble. Tell me how to travel for free even more. And I don't want to face like the inherent racist biases that have always been going on in my life. Can you just tell me how to fly for free? So that makes it a little bit of a challenge to find an audience, because I'm trying to jam together two pieces of a Venn diagram that are almost two separate circles. There's a little bit of us who both understand the experiences of credit cards and also care about diversity and representation and care to be represented in this space. So that's probably my main challenge as I've been trying to grow this business, trying to reach out with the podcast, find guests for the podcast, get listeners for the podcast. I would say that's the biggest challenge I've had.
Do you know who Hey Berna is? She's one of the gals in our book. We love her.
I love her.
Yeah. You should
I
get her on your podcast. She's amazing.
I absolutely love her. I actually don't know her thoughts on credit cards. That would be really interesting. But she was talking about something called the Filipino Frugal Flex in one of the interviews that she did, where there's so much the urge to deal with these conflicting money messages that we get as we're growing up, where our parents might not have a lot of money, but they're sending it all back. But also they want to prove that it was worthwhile, that they were the chosen ones who got to immigrate to the States, and they have to look fancy and show off and be brag worthy. And that might put them into more debt trying to uphold these appearances. And I can see that being a really tough game with credit cards too, where you have that temptation of like, oh, I'm just going to swipe a credit card. I now have this Gucci purse. I now have like the Frugal Flex. And since I have this Gucci purse, we have to skimp on a lot of other things in our budget. So one of the things that I really like about travel hacking is, one of the rules is you do have to pay off your credit card at the end of each month automatically. It forces you to be a lot more aware of your budget each month and how much can you actually spend. Because if you're going off of a cash system, you physically see the money going away. And so you know when to stop. Whereas with a credit card, you don't always have that stop. So you have to be more aware of your spending habits. You have to be more intentional and in tune with how much money is coming in, how much is going out, what's my limit, and keeping track of all of that, which is so hard a lot of the time when you're first starting out, when you don't have a concept of how much money all of this costs and how much it all adds up. And then you get that bill and it's like, oh my God, I did not see that coming. But once you get the hang of it, and once you're able to intuitively tell yourself, okay, here's how much I can afford each month, and then start to almost just do the math in your head of here's how much I'm paying for groceries, here's how much is going towards restaurants or shopping or anything else, and then being rewarded for having that kind of financial intuition, you get rewarded for it so well.
So there's a difference between getting rewarded using a check card that has a Visa stamp and then using an actual credit card. Is there a difference between point system with that?
Yeah, so there are certain cards that are better for travel and some that are better for cashback. So for example, one of the most popular starter cards is the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which you can transfer out those points and use them for travel either through the Chase portal or transferring them to different partnered airlines and hotels. Then there are some cashback cards like the Chase Freedom Flex, Chase Freedom Unlimited. Those you can get just cashback points to wipe out your statement. And there are different tricks where you can combine them in the same account and then transfer points back and forth to really leverage the earning power of those points.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I have both. Romeo has the Chase, and then I have a cashback card. I'm telling you, I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed.
Do you have the cashback, or so you just have the cashback? Do you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred in your account too?
So my husband has a Chase. I have the Bonvoy, and then I also have a cashback card. So I have 3.
Which cashback card?
Bank of America.
Okay.
They have the cashback one, and then there's a travel one, but I just take the cashback one.
Yeah.
No, Bank of America is not the best, but that's my bank, so that's where I go. But I love it. I get like all these like vacations for free, and yeah, I'm not really going anywhere right now, so it's not really helping my situation.
It's a great time to just start banking up points though, because since nobody's traveling, it's what we call earning season instead of burning season, where there's a lot of different promotions going on because American Express and Chase and Citi and all of the other cards are afraid that people are just going to close down their credit cards and stop paying annual fees, where they're like, well, I got this card for traveling because it comes with a free hotel night each year, but I'm not going to any hotels, so I'm just going to close down the card. And so they're just giving out retention offers left and right. We'll waive your annual fee. We'll give you a statement credit, something. Just keep the card. So
I'm gonna call them and threaten them. Let's see.
you should definitely call and be like, hey, I'm thinking about whether I want to keep this card or not because I'm not traveling. Can you persuade me to keep the card? Quick tip, never actually say the words close the card, because if they just go, okay, and then you didn't actually want to close it, you just wanted them to give you some kind of retention offer, that's a bad day. So if they're not giving you anything, just be like, all right, I'm going to think about it a little bit more, and then call a different day and then talk to a different customer service agent.
I'm going to try this. I will try this. Okay.
Let us know how it goes.
I will report back and let you all know how it went. So what other goals and projects are you currently working on that you want to share with us and our audience?
So this coming Tuesday, I'm hosting a GeoBreeze Travel podcast off-air hangout. It's a masterclass style where we dive a little bit deeper into how to do really cool tricks. There's this cool trick called the United Excursionist perk, where if you buy 2 little domestic flights and structure the itinerary correctly, you can just get a flight across Europe or Asia or some other continent for free. So these flights run for like 5,000 points. So I don't know, $50 to $100. So you buy, let's say, a $75 flight on points, and then you get to fly across Europe for free, and then another random $75 plane ride. So you can structure it that way with points. And these are the things that are a little bit hard to find if you're just new to the game or just trying to figure out how to research things on your own. So those are the kinds of things that I teach at the masterclass. I have my next one on Tuesday, March 23rd, and all of this goes to charity. By the way, everything that I do for travel hacking coaching, all of the affiliate links, all of the masterclasses and hangouts that I host, all of it just goes to different charities. The one that I'm partnering with for this hangout is Miles for Migrants. They use donated points and also donated money to buy airplane tickets and reunite displaced families who are either refugees or asylum seeking, and they can't afford their own airfare, even once they've gotten all of their legal paperwork taken care of. So I'm very excited to partner with them, and in the meantime also teach people a lot of some next level hacks. But beginners are absolutely welcome to attend to. I try to make sure to really distill super complex next level tricks into a format that even somebody who's new to travel hacking can understand.
And where can people go to sign up for the masterclass?
geobreezetravel.com/hangouts.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
So I know you do a lot of traveling. So this question might be a little, well, we'll see. I'll ask the question. What are some ways that you unplug and find balance for yourself and a lot of people say that they like to travel when they balance, but since you do it for a living, what you tell us, what other ways do you unplug?
I really need to be better at unplugging. Sometimes I will just uninstall Instagram for 24 to 48 hours because there's a lot going on social media. And especially as you're trying to grow a business, as you're trying to grow a following, it's so easy to just get addicted to how much engagement a post gets or how well somebody else is doing in your niche compared to you. And it will drive a person crazy. So sometimes just uninstalling Instagram for a day or two is a really healthy thing to do. Just doing something that doesn't involve a screen. For me, most of the time, it's making things in the kitchen, either just cooking or baking something that doesn't involve staring at a screen is how I unplug.
That's right. A lot of people really need to take that advice. I actually need to do that too.
You're going to learn how to cook?
Oh, I know how to cook. I just don't do it.
I was like, you're going to learn how to cook?
I'm trying to do it though. Instructions. Okay, so what do you believe is your purpose, and what does living in your purpose look like to you, Julia?
So I think that my purpose is just kicking down a whole bunch of doors that were meant to keep out certain circles. I keep running into this in every phase of my life because I'm an actuary by trade. I've been in computer science honors programs. There weren't a lot of women in that. I'm in a STEM field, not a lot of women there. I'm trying to break into points and miles media where there's nobody featured who's barely any women are featured at all, let alone any women of color. And I really just want to break down those doors and have a flood of people come in after me who might not be granted those opportunities as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That I think that's a really great purpose. Like a lot of like for Jen and I, like we also have that vision where we want to just be able to help people that aren't or that don't have resources. So I totally get it. So tell us, as a leader, what are 3 pieces of wisdom you can give to young people like yourself who that want to follow in your footsteps?
First one would be to find your community, because it's so hard to do this by yourself. If you're trying to become a content creator and build a business out of that, and you're doing it by writing a blog and it's not getting any traction, it's going to get lonely really fast. I think I wrote about 7 blog posts before I got tired of that, which is why I podcast now, because I enjoy speaking with people a lot more than I enjoy writing. And then just by finding people to interview on the podcast, I'm able to grow that community. I'm able to interact with more people. It makes the entire process so much more fun. So number 1, find your community. It can be really hard at first, because if you're doing something weird like, oh, I'm going to start diversity and inclusion in points and miles, which is a super niche thing that nobody even thinks is a problem, it can be lonely. But once you find your community, it's going to be really tight-knit. Second, you're going to have to do the work at some point. I run into so many people, since I talk about travel hacks and optimization and productivity and efficiency, who are like, what's the shortcut? And I don't want to learn about strategy and having to do the research or anything else. But at some point, if you want to get good at something, you're going to have to dive deep and do the work. So pick something that you want to be that dedicated to and really put in the effort to learn it, whether it's excelling and growing in your career field of choice, whether it's building a business, whether it's just learning a certain hobby and becoming really good at that hobby at some point. You will need to do the work to excel in that. And then my 3rd piece of advice is give shout outs and a lot of gratitude wherever you go. Anything that you want to do, you're going to need help. And please make sure that you are expressing gratitude to all of the people who are helping you along the way. Something that I always do at the end of each of my podcasts, whenever I have a guest, is to ask them to give a travel hacking shout out to somebody who helped them along the way, somebody whose advice other people should go to on the internet, because that's how we learn. We learn from other people who came before us. And I think it's really good to spread awareness of other resources. In points and miles, historically, it's been so common to be really competitive rather than collaborative. Blogs would never link to each other's podcasts, to each other's blogs, because they're afraid of losing audience members who will use somebody else's affiliate links to sign up for credit cards. And those affiliate links are really lucrative. That's how most bloggers will make their revenue. And so they never would link to each other because they're afraid of losing revenue that way. And I just want to disrupt that model and say, what if we collaborated and then we made our money through podcast sponsors or coaching or selling courses or doing some kind of service-based model, like looking for award space in first class for people. There's a lot of different streams of revenue that people haven't even tapped into from a more collaborative model. And I really want to show people that you can be successful doing that too. So all of that to say, give shout outs as my 3rd point.
Very cool. You are very inspirational, because I could really hear that you're very passionate about this and you really believe in it. So very cool. So one last question that I just put in here, and I asked the girls if it was cool to ask, but okay, so if you could walk into any room, what would be your theme song? Kind of a fun question. It's supposed to be a fun question. So
yeah. The first one that came into mind was the Sweet But Psycho song, which I don't think is actually what I want to be my theme song. It's just the one that I think a lot of people might say, oh, her theme song would be the Sweet But Psycho. But I really like the Alicia Keys song, This Girl Is on Fire.
yeah.
Because, I actually have the word fire tattooed on my ribs in like the Filipino script, just because I'm really into financial independence. And I like that song by Alicia Keys. So if I were walking into a room, I think that would be my theme song.
Very cool. Jen, Mafe, what would be yours? I've never asked this question to them before.
I have many.
You know,
About it, and then we'll talk about it later.
Like that.
what is it? What did you say, Mafe? Anything that's what?
Anything that's Beyonce or J-Lo. Those are my
Oh,
go-tos.
yeah. I love them so much, but like if I need to be like super hype, I need like rap, something ratchet.
I knew you would say that, Jen.
Yeah.
Something rap or ratchet, you know. I don't know.
Like all four of us just walking into a room with your ratchet song. Let's do it.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I need to have some thought on that, but don't know. You know,
Amazing. Really, I learned so much from you. I mean, it was true what you shared. Like, as Filipinos, even my mom, my aunts, my grandmas, they do look for, the promos. And so it's trickled down to me too. And I teach the kids how to save money also. But it's amazing that you're mentoring a lot of people in that aspect. So thank you. We have your social media it's been on the ticker, guys, so please go follow GeoBreeze Travel and reach out to Julia if you just have any advice, especially with how to use credit card, how to use it now. I know it's limited for traveling right now, but for the future, let's dream big and pray that all this can be over and then you already have your plans. So I know Jen and Rose are itching to come to the.
Do you have a trip already planned for when the world opens up?
Yeah. So I've had these business class tickets booked to Spain, and I've already had to move it once because of COVID. But I think it was probably $400. I think for 2 people to fly round trip in business class, because we had a lot of like different points that we threw on top of it too. So I really want to take that flight one of these days when the world opens back up.
Yes.
But I also remembered I have a gift for your listeners that is a travel hack that doesn't involve any credit card. So Rose will like this. Okay, so I have this free upgrade template that you can use, and you can write to hotels in advance and say, hey, if you're not sold out, can I get upgraded to this room? I've used this template all over the place. My favorite was probably in Maui. We stayed at the Grand Wailea, which is a Waldorf Astoria hotel.
That is so fancy, with the best spa in the whole wide world.
It's super fancy. We had a free night certificate with Hilton from one of my credit cards, and I said, okay, where's the most expensive place that we can use this? And it turns out it's that hotel, which starts at $500 per night. Mm-hmm. And then I used this email template to write to the hotel and said, hey, if you're not sold out, can I get like the $650 room? They ended up upgrading us to the $900 per night suite, which had like this amazing ocean view, and it came with free breakfast and free dinner. And it was like in the gated part of the hotel. And they wheeled in a cart of champagne and local Hawaiian snacks. So all in all, saved about $1,000 on this night in this room. And you can download this email template at geobreezetravel.com/download-gifts. Or if you just go to geobreezetravel.com, you'll get a pop-up and then sign up there to get the email template. If you follow me on Instagram, you can find the link in my bio. So I try to have this template all over the place so that you guys can get free upgrades. Doesn't even involve any credit card applications.
So just so you know how fancy this hotel is, you guys. So Oprah takes her whole entire staff there every year, and she takes all of them to this amazing spa that they have. And I've been there twice. It's basically they have a spa where they have all these like different bathtubs, like different colors that you can soak in, and it's like all like different like salts or whatever. But then they have like these waterfalls that like massage your shoulders and your back. I swear. And it was just amazing, right? So we went once because it was a gift for our wedding, and Romeo was like, if we go back to Maui, can we go back to that bougie hotel with the bathtubs and he was like, do you know how much that thing costs? And it's like, but we're going to Maui and we're staying we used our points to stay at the Westin in Maui. He's like, we're not paying for a hotel, so can we go to the spa with the fancy like? So I was like, okay, fine. But it's that fancy. Like Oprah takes her entire staff as like a gift
Nice.
to go there.
Well, we'll
So-
just manifest that in a couple years we'll be able to take everybody there too.
Right?
Mafe
I
will
would
meet
love
you
that.
in Maui.
Can't
You can
wait.
travel hack it.
Can't
Yes.
wait.
Oh my God, I'm so obsessed with you because okay, people always laugh about this and I don't really tell anybody this, but I subscribe to this retirement magazine. It's really like for old people. Like old people literally read this magazine.
ARAP?
No, it's not AARP. Not that old, but it's like I think like Kiplinger. And it basically gives you tips and like how to retire, like how to put your money, how to get your money to work for you, what credit cards to get, what scams are taking place at the moment, you know? So I read this magazine and everyone laughs, like, why do you subscribe to Kiplinger? And it's only because my Girl Scout cookie nieces, they're like, okay, if you don't want to buy cookies, you can buy a magazine, right? And then they're like, when they see my order and they're like, you don't want like Vogue or something? I'm like, no, I want the retirement magazine because I don't want to work forever. I want to move to Hawaii or some kind of island and just chill with like coconuts and, you know, sit in the sun like this. I know.
Likewise. But again,
Goals.
thank
Julia,
you,
your goals, your hashtag goals.
Yes, exactly. And it's just so amazing that you are an inspiration to many. At such a young age, you've realized how to really live life to the fullest. So again, guys, please do follow Julia and her podcast. And if you do want to, you know, plan your dream vacation or many vacations, Julia is the person to really ask that advice to, because I know Rose, Jen, and I will be doing that offline.
One
But,
more question
yeah.
before you go. You went to over 30 countries. Which one is your favorite?
I depends on what, but I really like Singapore, and mostly I really like the Singapore airport. I know that sounds really nerdy,
Yeah.
but
It's massive.
have you guys been to the Singapore
I've been.
airport?
Yes.
Yeah.
They give you just free everything samples, like La Prairie, where they had the $600 jar of caviar face cream, and they're just like, here's free samples. I got a Dior facial. They just gave me a free Dior facial. I sampled every alcohol in this airport for free. $50 cognac, a whole bunch of Grey Goose martinis. They have the fancy massage chairs. They have a free movie theater, a whole bunch of other things.
In the airport.
Yes.
It's just the airport. Yeah. And then like Singapore is great too. It's warm and clean. It's very strange to have such a warm tropical country that has no bugs. It's so clean. There are no bugs.
Yeah.
The hawker stall food is amazing. The logistics, I'm just such a fan of good city planning and logistics because I'm just such a math nerd and a productivity nerd that I'm like, oh my God, Singapore, so good. So that's one of my favorites. But I think one of the like more understated and underrated places that I've been that I always tell people about is Estonia, which no one ever talks about, but you get such good pictures there because it's all castles in Tallinn, Estonia. If any of you are Game of Thrones fans, the Valyrian language is based off of Estonian, so it just feels like you're in Game of Thrones because you're walking through the castles. People sound like they're speaking Valyrian. The food is cheap. People speak English, so it's easy to get around. So highly recommend Tallinn, Estonia as well.
Okay.
Jen, you're writing.
I want you to recommend our next vacation.
Yes, sounds good.
Sure.
I'm taking notes.
At least we can live our dream destinations through your podcasts. And guys, I would replay this episode because it was such great learnings and lessons. I know that I was always afraid to have a credit card. Now I want more, like Rose. I'll get 5. You just get the points.
She won't.
I won't do it.
I'm for it.
What do you use now, Rose? Do you just use a debit card or what do you use?
I use cash. Yeah, my debit card.
Like, what about for online payments? It's just the debit card?
Just a debit card with the Visa. So it comes straight from my bank account. Yeah, I just don't ever want to feel like that again, where I was like, I gotta have to pay this off. I hate owing people. I want to be the person that they come to borrow from. I don't want to borrow from someone.
Oh, there's this really cool trick that I do, which is a little bit more advanced, but there's this website called Kiva, which is Kiva, and you can loan money to small businesses that need a loan. And you can get credit card points by doing this because you can put the loan on your credit card and then they'll pay you back 6 to 8 months later. So you've helped a small business. You got credit cards, you got credit card points off of it, and then they pay you back later. So then it just goes back into your bank account, and it's just this cool trick where you can generate points without just having to buy things that you never intended to buy.
That is more my language. I will look into that one. Thank you, Julia.
You don't get the points for it if you do a debit card though, because then it's just
well, I have credit cards for, because hotels make you use that, right? But where they don't ring it up, like you go in there and then they just need to hold a credit card, or like if you do like extra stuff at the end and then they can just charge it. That I have to use that for, and then also a rental car. So if you want to rent a car, you have to have like a real credit. So I have that for those reasons, but not where it's like zero balances.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can put onto those.
Yeah, owing people money, not good. So I always am like, all right, it's like a 30 days at most. I'm like, oh, just imagine it's always getting paid, where you're like, am I not able to pay this in 30 days? Then I'm not going to buy it. So it's always just like, I think of it as a debit card that gets paid in 30 days or less. Yeah, instead of, I'll pay this eventually. No, you pay it like within 30 days automatically.
Yeah.
Or sometimes what I do is I'll just pay it like halfway. I'm like, oh, I can just pay it now, like half of it now, and then I'll do the rest like 2 weeks later. But I just always make sure that I pay it in full.
Yeah, there's a concept called utilization, which is how much credit you've used divided by how much credit you have available towards all of your credit lines. And you actually want to keep that pretty low. So if you have a small credit limit because you only have 2 cards or 3 cards, paying it off in the middle of the month and like doing 2 installments of payments each month is actually a pretty good way to do it. Just to keep your utilization down, which is good for your credit score.
Yeah, I learned the hard way when I was trying to like get my act together. I was like, I'm closing all these credit cards, right? And then I looked at my score and I was like, what? And they basically said it's because of the amount of money that you are being loaned, that you're eligible to loan, but you're not using anything, and you close it all down, so you're not building history. I was like, no one teaches you this.
Yeah, no one tells you this. All of it in episode 1 of the podcast, by the way, where I'm like, all right, guys, here's how credit actually works. You want to have a lot of open lines. You want to have, like, if you have a credit card open, charge a pack of gum or something to it every few months so that they don't accidentally close it down due to inactivity. Like if you have $1 subscription to it or something, you're good to go. So people don't understand how utilization works. They're like, okay, if I open a whole bunch of credit cards, how does that impact my credit score? What if I close a whole bunch of credit cards? How does that impact my credit score? And so these are a lot of things that I help people with as a travel hacking coach. Is I'm like, okay, here's the credit card plan. Here's the goal that you are working towards for like wherever you want to travel for free. And then we work backwards to get them the credit card plan. And then I tell them, okay, step by step each month, here's what you need to do. So if anybody wants that, I offer free 30-minute coaching calls just to spread knowledge so that people don't suddenly be like, I applied for 5 credit cards and I didn't know I had to pay them back, or like, and then I freaked out and closed all 5 credit cards because they were doing bad things to me, and then my credit score went down even more, and like, what is this rigged game? So just to help spread knowledge about here's how credit scores actually work, here's how to get free travel without having to pay interest and without getting in trouble with a whole bunch of other things. I do free calls for that. The link is in my Instagram bio.
Cool.
I think the person that wants to do this, they have to be very, very, very dedicated and very, very responsible Right? Like that person needs to be able to have very good discipline as well.
Yeah, if you're the kind of person where you have a credit card, so you're like, I just need to buy all the things. Don't.
Yeah, this is for you.
No, there's a lot of like, who is travel hacking not for? If you're not in a place yet where you're debt free and you're still rolling over interest payment or rolling over a balance and having to pay interest payments on your credit cards, this is not for you yet. If you're the kind of person who like just, yeah, like Rose said, doesn't have discipline around like, oh, I have a credit card and oh, they gave me a $4,000 limit. I'm just going to buy all the shoes, all of the everything. I'm like, okay, also not for you. But if you're like, I mean, I have a pretty like regular boring budget each month and I got gas and groceries and some other stuff. It's pretty much the same, kind of boring. I'm like, you should just put that on travel hacking credit cards because just like keep being boring with money and then just like get free points for being boring. That would be ideal.
That's me. The boring life.
Yeah. Not when COVID. I mean, not when the pandemic opens up the world again. You'll be out. You come to visit me first.
I'm ready to be out. Okay, I already got 2 flights booked. I'm out.
Where are you going?
Yeah, I have a couple of things booked too.
I'm going to LA, which is home for me, and so I'm gonna fly this time. I'm so excited. You know the feeling when you go to the Philippines and then they clap when you land? I'm seriously gonna do that. When I land in LA, I'm gonna be like, yes. So I'm gonna go to LA, and then I'm going to Oahu. So
yeah, fun. So are you guys going? Are you going to Greece? Are you going back or?
No, because they're not letting Americans in right now.
Okay, but that hasn't moved forward with.
They're planning their 4th wedding.
Oh, okay.
And it's not going to be in Greece. It's going to be in.
Oh, I was looking forward to you guys' Greece trip. Those pictures.
Well, so here's the thing: they're not getting their money back. So my friends are supposed to get married in Greece. The places are not giving their money back. So they basically have like a crap ton of money in Greece right now. In Greece. Wow.
Wait,
and so why won't they give it back? I don't know. They just won't give it back. And so what's happening now is they basically said, okay, fine. You can keep our money, I guess, because they're not going to give it back, but we can use it however way we want to. We don't have to have a wedding there. We could just send like 50 of our friends and have like all their rooms and food taken care of. I'm like, yeah, I'm all for it. But then here I am sitting on all this credit from Snap Travel, freaking Expedia, and British Airways. Does British Airways go to Estonia? Maybe I need to just use that.
No, actually. Maybe.
You have time to check it out.
We actually went by boat. We were on a cruise around the Baltic Sea that went from Denmark to Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Russia, because really we wanted to scratch Russia off of the scratch map that's behind me over there because it's so much of the map, and we didn't want to deal with visas. So the way that we got around that was to take a cruise because we were only there for 10 hours, so they didn't make us fill out visas. We just had to stick with the tour.
Yeah. No one wants to let the Americans in right now, so we're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
LA
a lot of cool domestic places.
Like where? Where?
You could come visit New York. I really want to go to like the Carolinas. See them, like they're pretty cool. Everybody's hyping up like the North Carolina, South Carolina areas right now.
Well, that's where a lot of people are moving to, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're Californians. I don't think we're ever going to move.
I have a trip in July to Cabo. Is that even available? I mean, could we go there? We can, right?
Yeah, there are certain states of Mexico that are allowing people in right now. I think Cabo is one of them. Definitely the Yucatan area, Quintana Roo.
Tulum. I've seen people on Instagram, Tulum, Cabo.
Yeah, Tulum. Yeah.
People are living there right now. A lot of Americans.
Yep.
Well, that's the way to go right now. I mean, even in the Philippines, everybody's leaving the city as long as they have good Wi-Fi. Everybody's moving to the province, to the farm, to the beach. Have a few friends that moved to Boracay during this period. I'm just like,
Forever
they're doing it-
or just
they're
for
doing it
now?
right. For yeah, they bought a house. They're
What?
staying there. Yeah, I mean, everybody's on.
everybody's now.
So, I'm just like, what am I doing in the city still? But anyways, I know, Julia, it's late on your end, and we appreciate we can pick
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
brain. And
I know.
so
This
much.
is fun.
Oh, I'm
For
good.
sure.
I'm
We
good.
will-
I'm just gonna sleep in tomorrow.
we'll book a schedule, and I advise everyone to also do that. Again, thank you for being part of In Her Purpose show. You
Yeah.
are definitely a game changer, and please continue to inspire others through what you do. So we'll talk to you again, and everyone else, please follow Julia and her amazing podcast, and also her travel tips and hacks. So see you later, Julia and Jen and Rose. I was just traveling through the whole time in my mind. Just
I know.
I did it wrong, So now, for sure, I'm going to plan it out and get advice from Julia when it comes to the expenses, because traveling can be relaxing and also be stressful at the same time, especially if you have a big family. For me,
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh,
carrying
yeah.
all these thoughts. I'm like, oh my gosh. But then when you finally
Yeah.
get to the destination, it's just like, I can like relax.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I think the main thing that we want to invite everyone is the summit, right, ladies? It's super exciting. It's next week.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, at 4 o'clock. So Jen and I are up first. We talk about turning your passion into profit. We'll talk a lot about mindset, a lot about finding your passion, and about how to actually make money off of your passion. So yeah, I can't wait for you guys to be there. Mafe is going to talk about brand marketing and storytelling. I'm excited for that one, Mafe. I'm going to I'm going to take a lot of notes from
Yeah.
you. And, I
Oh my
promise.
gosh, come on, Rose, you've got it too.
And on top of that, we have it's a whole week with all of these other women who are so empowering. Oh my god, I can't even say it. It's been a long day. And inspiring women.
Yes. And it's free, guys. So please go check it out on Collective Hustle website. Sign up. You should not miss this, because apart from myself and the ladies who are here with me on the screen, the other fellow ladies are amazing. So you don't want to miss that. This is a once in a lifetime. Our gift to all of you for just being that growth seeker, and continue to support In Her Purpose. I know Jen has amazing goodies in the IHP shop, so please go check that out. And we'll see you next week on our next episode with another amazing individual that we will be featuring here on In Her Purpose show. So thank you, ladies. I'm ready to go and travel. See
Me
you
too.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Ready or not, here I come. Never late when the night is young, always late when the morning